I am standing in my apartment in Seattle, holding a wedding invitation with my name on it. Outside, autumn leaves are falling, painting the streets in shades of gold and red. 16 years ago, on a night just like this, I lost everything. My family, my name, my future. They believed a lie without giving me a chance to speak. They beat me and threw me out like garbage. Now, I am about to marry someone connected to that painful past in a way no one could have predicted. Before I share this story, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments. If stories about betrayal, survival, and unexpected redemption speak to you, hit that like button and subscribe to join this community. What I am about to tell you is a story about how one lie can destroy everything you love, but also about how life sometimes offers healing from the most unexpected places. Let us begin. The year was 2008. I was 22 years old, fresh out of college, with a degree in business management, and the world seemed full of promise. I had just started working at Thompson Construction, my father Richard's company. He built it from nothing, and I was being groomed to take over one day. Every morning I woke up grateful. I had a job I loved, a family that supported me, and a girlfriend named Megan, who I had been with for 3 years. Megan was beautiful in that effortless way that made people stop and stare. We met during freshman year of college at a campus coffee shop. She spilled her latte on my textbook, apologized with the most embarrassing laugh, and somehow I fell for her right there. 3 years later, we were still together, and I was convinced she was the one. My family adored her. My mother, Linda, treated Megan like the daughter she never had. She would invite Megan over for Sunday dinners, teach her family recipes, and talk about future grandchildren with stars in her eyes. My father, a man of few words and high standards, once told me over a beer that Megan was a fine woman, and I better not mess it up. Even my older brother Derek, who was protective to the point of being overbearing, approved of her. He would joke that I was punching above my weight, and I would laugh, because deep down, I believed it too. I had been saving money for 4 months. Every paycheck I put aside a portion until I had enough for a diamond ring. It was not the biggest diamond in the store, but it was real, and it was mine. I hid it in my sock drawer and planned everything down to the last detail. I would propose on our 3-year anniversary at the Italian restaurant where we had our first official date. I imagined her face lighting up, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks, and me sliding that ring onto her finger. But about 2 weeks before our anniversary, things started to change. Megan began coming home late from work. She said her new marketing job was demanding that there were endless meetings and deadlines. I believed her because I had no reason not to. But then I noticed other things. Her phone was always face down on the table. She changed her password and brushed it off when I asked about it. She became irritable over small things, snapping at me when I asked how her day was pulling away, when I tried to hold her hand. At night, she would get phone calls and step outside to answer them. When she came back, she would say it was just a coworker with questions about a project. I wanted to trust her. I told myself she was stressed that things would go back to normal after the proposal. I was a fool in love, seeing only what I wanted to see. 2 weeks before our anniversary, I decided to surprise her. I left work early, bought a bouquet of her favorite flowers, and drove to her office. I parked in the lot and waited for her to come out, imagining how happy she would be to see me. Then I saw her. She walked out of the building with a man I did not recognize. He was tall, well-dressed, with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you have something you should not have. They stopped next to a silver sedan. She laughed at something he said, and then he leaned in and kissed her. Not a friendly kiss. A deep, lingering kiss that made my stomach turn inside out. I sat in my car for over an hour. I could not move. My hands were shaking, my vision blurred with tears I refused to let fall. The flowers wilted on the passenger seat beside me. When I finally drove home, I collapsed on the couch and stared at the ceiling until morning. The next day, I called Megan and asked her to come over. I needed to hear it from her. When she arrived, I asked calmly if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She looked confused at first, then defensive. She denied everything until I told her I saw them in the parking lot. Then her face changed. The mask slipped. She admitted to the affair. His name was Brad. She said he understood her in ways I never could, that I was too focused on work, too predictable, too boring. She cried, but the tears felt hollow, like she was performing rather than feeling. I told her it was over. I asked for her key to my apartment. She handed it over without protest. But as she walked toward the door, she stopped and turned around. Her eyes were different now. Cold. Hard. She said, "You are going to regret this, Jared. You have no idea what you have done." I did not understand what she meant. I would find out 3 days later. The phone call came on a Tuesday evening. My mother's voice was strange, clipped and distant, as if she was speaking to a stranger rather than her son. She told me to come home immediately. My father and brother were waiting. Something in her tone made my chest tighten with dread. When I walked into my parents' house, the atmosphere hit me like a wall. My father, Richard, sat at the head of the dining table, his face flushed red with barely contained rage. My mother sat beside him, her eyes swollen from crying. My brother Derek stood against the wall with his arms crossed, staring at me with pure hatred. On the table in front of them was a printed document and several photographs. Before I could ask what was happening, my father slammed his hand on the table and demanded to know if I had anything to say for myself. I was confused. I asked what he was talking about. Derek stepped forward and threw the photographs at me. They scattered across the floor. I picked them up and felt the blood drain from my face. They were pictures of Megan, with bruises on her arms, her shoulders, her neck, dark purple marks that looked painful and fresh. My mother whispered that Megan had come to them. She told them I had been hitting her for 2 years. She said I became violent when I drank, that I controlled her money, isolated her from friends, made her life a living nightmare. She said she finally found the courage to leave, and that was why I threw her out. I tried to speak. I told them it was a lie, all of it. I had never laid a hand on Megan. I told them the truth about her affair, about catching her with Brad in the parking lot. I begged them to listen. My father cut me off. He said Megan showed them proof. He said they were not blind. He asked if I thought they would believe my lies over the evidence of their own eyes. Then Derek lost control. He crossed the room in 3 steps and punched me square in the face. I felt my nose crack. Blood poured down my chin as I stumbled backward and fell to the ground. He kicked me in the ribs once, twice, 3 times, shouting that I was a monster, that I did not deserve to be his brother. I did not fight back. How could I? This was my own brother, the same person who taught me to ride a bike, who scared off bullies in middle school, who stood as my best man in every imaginary wedding I had planned in my head. I curled up on the floor and covered my head, begging him to stop telling him I was innocent. My father finally called him off, but he did not help me up. He did not ask if I was okay. He just stood there and delivered his verdict. He said I was no longer his son. He said I was fired from the company effective immediately. He said I was to leave and never return to that house. He said he would change his will to ensure I received nothing. I looked at my mother, desperate for her to intervene. She had always been my ally, the soft place to land when the world was hard. But she just sat there crying, nodding along with everything my father said. She did not look at me. She could not. I dragged myself off the floor and limped out of the house. Blood dripped onto the front porch where I had played as a child. No one followed me. No one said goodbye. Within a week, I lost everything. My job was gone. My father owned the apartment I was renting, so I had 48 hours to pack my belongings and leave. When I tried to find work at other construction companies in Columbus, I discovered that my father had already called them. He told them I was violent and unstable. No one would hire me. My friends disappeared. The story Megan told spread through our social circles like wildfire. She posted vague messages on social media about surviving abuse, never naming me directly, but making it obvious enough. People I had known for years sent me hateful messages. They called me names I cannot repeat. Only one person believed me. His name was Marcus. We had been friends since high school, and he knew me better than anyone. When I showed up at his door with a bloody nose and nowhere to go, he let me in without question. He did not ask me to explain. He just handed me an ice pack and said we would figure it out together. I tried to find evidence of Megan's affair. I called Brad, but he refused to meet with me. Later, I learned that Megan had threatened him too. She told him she would claim he assaulted her if he ever spoke to me. The one piece of evidence, I had the memory of seeing them kiss, was worthless because I had deleted the photos from my phone in a moment of grief. I had nothing. I went back to my parents' house 3 times. Each time my father threatened to call the police if I did not leave. My mother never came to the door. Derek blocked my number. I sent letters that were returned unopened. The only person in my family who reached out was my grandfather Harold, my father's dad. He was 82 years old and lived in a nursing home outside the city. When he heard what happened, he called me. His voice was weak, but certain. He told me he knew I was not the person they were saying I was. He said he had watched me grow up and there was not a violent bone in my body. He could not change my father's mind, but he wanted me to know that someone believed me. Before we hung up, he told me he was wiring me $5,000 from his personal savings. He said it was not much, but it was enough to start over somewhere new. I took that money and added it to what Marcus lent me. I bought a one-way bus ticket to Seattle. Before I left Columbus, I drove past Megan's house one last time. Through the window, I could see her sitting on the couch with Brad. They were laughing about something completely carefree, as if they had not just destroyed my entire life. I turned away and headed for the bus station. I made a promise to myself that night. I would rebuild. I would survive. And I would never let anyone have that kind of power over me again. The first 3 years in Seattle were the hardest of my life. I arrived with nothing but a duffel bag and a broken spirit. I found work as a construction laborer, starting at the very bottom, despite my degree and experience. I rented a tiny room in a house with 4 other people, ate ramen noodles more nights than I care to remember, and spent my evenings studying for project management certifications. Slowly, things began to change. My supervisors noticed my work ethic and my knowledge. I was promoted to foreman then, to project manager. By year 7, I was running major commercial projects and earning a reputation as someone who delivered results. In the 8th year, I received a call from Marcus. My grandfather Harold had passed away. I wanted desperately to fly back for the funeral, but I knew I would not be welcome. Marcus attended on my behalf and reported back that my parents never mentioned my name. It was as if I had never existed, but my grandfather had not forgotten me. Marcus told me that Harold left me a separate inheritance outside of the main family trust. It was not a fortune, but it was enough. I used that money to start my own construction company. I called it New Foundation Construction, a name that reminded me every day of what I was building. By year 16, my company had grown beyond anything I could have imagined. We had contracts across 3 states and a reputation for quality and integrity. I bought a house overlooking Puget Sound. I drove a nice car. I had everything I thought I wanted. But I was alone. The wound Megan left had never fully healed. I dated occasionally, but I could never let anyone get close. The moment a relationship started to feel serious, I would find an excuse to end it. I told myself I was too busy with work. The truth was, I was terrified of being hurt again. Then, at a construction industry conference in Portland, everything changed. I had just finished giving a presentation on sustainable building practices when a woman approached me. She was in her early 30s, with warm brown eyes and a confident smile. She introduced herself as Cassie, an architect working for a firm in Portland. We talked about green building techniques and the future of urban development. She was smart, passionate, and easy to talk to. I felt something I had not felt in years. Then she said something that stopped me cold. She said, "You really do not remember me, do you?" I looked at her more closely, trying to place her face. There was something familiar about her, but I could not figure out what. She said, "I am Cassie, Cassandra, Megan's little sister." The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. My first instinct was to walk away, to run from anything connected to that chapter of my life. But she grabbed my arm gently and asked me to wait. She said she knew I was innocent. She had always known. We found a quiet corner of the hotel lobby and sat down. Cassie told me her story. She was 14 years old when everything happened. Even then, she noticed things that did not add up. She saw Megan practicing crying in the bathroom mirror. She found makeup in Megan's drawer that was the same color as the bruises in the photographs. One night, she overheard Megan on the phone with Brad laughing about how perfectly the plan was working. But she was just a kid. When she tried to tell her parents what she suspected, they dismissed her. They said she was too young to understand adult situations. They told her to stay out of it. When Cassie turned 18, she confronted Megan directly. She demanded the truth. And in a moment of cruel honesty, Megan admitted everything. She said she lied because she was angry that I ended things before she could leave on her own terms. She wanted to punish me. By the time she realized how far things had gone, it was too late to take it back. Cassie asked if Megan was going to tell the truth. Megan laughed and said it would only make her look bad. She said everyone had moved on, and Cassie should too. Cassie cut off contact with her sister that day. She spent years trying to find me, wanting to apologize for not being able to help, but I had vanished. When she saw my name on the conference program, she could not believe it. I sat there in silence for a long time after she finished. 16 years of pain and isolation, and here was someone who had been carrying guilt for something that was never her fault. I told her she had nothing to apologize for. She was a child. She did everything she could. We exchanged numbers that night. I did not expect anything to come of it. The connection to my past was too painful, too complicated. But Cassie was persistent. She called to check on me. She sent articles she thought I would find interesting. She asked about my projects and remembered every detail I shared. After 6 months of phone calls and visits between Seattle and Portland, I realized I was falling for her. And for the first time since Megan, I did not want to run. Cassie moved to Seattle a year later. She was nothing like her sister. Where Megan was manipulative, Cassie was transparent. Where Megan was selfish, Cassie was generous. She did not try to fix me or change me. She simply loved me, as I was scars and all. One night, I finally broke down and told her everything. Every detail of that terrible week, every moment of the 16 years that followed. I cried for the first time since leaving Columbus. She held me without saying a word, and when I was done, she told me I did not deserve any of it. She promised she would never hurt me. For the first time, I believed it. The truth about Megan came out in the most unexpected way. Brad eventually left her for a younger woman, and Megan spiraled. One night, drunk and bitter, she posted a rambling confession on social media. She admitted she had lied about me, that she fabricated the abuse story because she was angry about being dumped. She deleted the post within hours, but people had already taken screenshots. The story spread. Marcus called to tell me that my parents had seen it. My mother was devastated. My father refused to talk about it. Derek reached out to Cassie since he knew we were together, by then asking for my number. Cassie asked me what I wanted her to do. I told her to tell Derek that I did not need anything from them anymore. But Derek did not give up. He flew to Seattle and showed up at my house unannounced. When I came home from work, he was standing on my porch, looking older and smaller than I remembered. He started apologizing immediately. He said he was sorry for hitting me, for not believing me for 16 years of silence. He said our mother cried every day since learning the truth. He said our father had suffered a minor stroke and was not doing well. They wanted to see me. They wanted to make things right. I listened without interrupting. When he finished, I asked him one question. I asked if he remembered what he said to me that night on the floor while he was kicking me. He lowered his eyes and said he did. I told him that the physical pain healed within weeks. But hearing my own brother call me a monster while my parents watched and did nothing that took 16 years, and I still felt it sometimes. I told him I was not angry anymore. Holding on to anger would only poison my own life. But I also could not pretend that we were family again just because the truth finally came out. I had spent 16 years building a life without them. I had found people who believed in me when they did not. I had made peace with who I was. Then I told him one more thing. I told him I was going to marry Cassie. His face went pale. He asked if I meant Megan's sister. I said yes. I told him that the universe works in strange ways sometimes. The family that was supposed to protect me threw me away over a lie. And now I was building a new family with someone who spent 16 years wishing she could have saved me. I asked him to leave and to tell our parents that I wished them well, but that I did not need them in my life anymore. He left without another word. Cassie and I got married 3 months later at a small vineyard in Napa Valley. Marcus was my best man. Our guest list was small, a handful of close friends and colleagues, people who had become family over the years. We did not invite anyone from my biological family or Megan's, but they showed up anyway. I was standing at the altar, watching Cassie walk toward me in a simple white dress, when I noticed movement near the back entrance. My parents and Derek were standing there, uninvited, watching from a distance. My mother was holding an old photo album. She was crying. After the ceremony, I walked over to them. I did not yell. I did not ask them to leave. I simply told them that today was the happiest day of my life. I told them I had chosen to leave the past behind me. They could stand there and watch if they wanted, but they were not part of this moment. They were not part of my future. Then I turned around and walked back to my wife. That was 2 years ago. Today, Cassie and I have a daughter named Lily. She is 6 months old, with her mother's eyes and her father's stubbornness. We bought a house near the water, the kind of place I used to dream about when I was sleeping on Marcus's couch all those years ago. My company continues to grow. Marcus moved to Seattle last year and works with me now. He is Lily's godfather, and I joke that he is the only family I have left from the old days. My mother still sends letters. I read them, but I do not respond. My father passed away 8 months after the wedding. I did not attend the funeral. Derek sends me a message every year on my birthday. I see them, but I do not reply. Megan reportedly moved to another state. I do not know where, and I do not care to find out. People ask me sometimes if I regret not reconciling with my family before my father died, if I feel guilty for keeping my distance. The honest answer is no. I spent years waiting for an apology that never came, validation that never arrived. Then I realized something important. I did not need their apology to know I was innocent. I did not need them to admit they were wrong to know that I deserved better. The peace I found came from within, not from their acknowledgement. Forgiveness is a complicated thing. I do not hold hatred in my heart for my family. Hatred is a poison that only hurts the person carrying it. But choosing not to hate someone is different from inviting them back into your life. Some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt, and that is okay. What I learned from those 16 years is this: the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally sometimes fail you in the worst ways. Blood does not guarantee loyalty. But the family you choose, the people who stand by you when the world turns against you, those bonds are unbreakable. Marcus stood by me when everyone else walked away. Cassie believed in me before she even knew the whole story. These are my people. This is my family. And sometimes life has a strange sense of justice. The woman who destroyed my relationship with my family became the reason I found my wife. The lie that took everything from me eventually crumbled under its own weight. The boy who left Columbus on a bus with $5,000 and a broken heart became a man with a company, a home, and a family he built from nothing. So here I am sitting on my porch, watching Cassie chase Lily around the backyard while the sun sets over the water. My phone buzzes with a message. It is from Derek. He says he misses me and hopes I am doing well. I look at the message for a long moment. Then I put the phone down and walk across the lawn to join my wife and daughter. Maybe someday I will respond. Maybe I will not. But right now, in this moment, I have everything I need. If this story touched you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you were in my position, would you have given your family another chance after the truth came out? Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Every like, comment, and share helps more than you know. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Whatever you are going through, whatever pain you are carrying, I hope you find your own healing. I hope you find people who believe in you, even when the world does not. And I hope you never forget that you deserve happiness, no matter what anyone else has told you. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.